Hello, welcome back to the Right Moods podcast. Today we're here, it's a full house, the fourth of us.
Okay.
It was not that bad. It was not that bad. Hello, welcome back to the Right Moods podcast. Today we have a full house here, it's the full team. This is me, this is Manu, we have Andy as well here.
Hey, what's up?
We have Chris as well.
How's it going?
And Pablo.
Hi.
So today what we're going to do, as you can see in the title, is talk a little bit about being a student and entrepreneurship. How is it that we are doing this? We have some experience. Everything that we're going to share is from our point of view or experience. So for the last 5 years, 4 to 5 years, Andy, Chris and I, we've been working on another business besides the Right Moods and the Kindles. So we do have this experience. Also, Pablo has been working on his own personal projects while being a student. So we have a lot to share. And hopefully you find this useful and kind of guides you, or you can, I don't know, pick up some stuff that can be useful to your situation and what it means, entrepreneurship and being a student for you. So the first thing that I want to do, and also guys, feel free to interrupt me any time if you want to add anything. But I want to touch on why would you want to be a student and entrepreneur? Because as we're gonna cover in this podcast, it's really hard. It can be really tricky. There are a lot of sacrifices that you need to make. So first thing, if you're considering to be an entrepreneur, if you're in that stage, you need to consider why. Is it because it's cool to be an entrepreneur? Is it because of the money? As we're gonna share in this podcast, it's all about passion. That's in our experience how it's been. You might have heard this in many other places. You need to focus on what you really like, what is a passion of yours creatively, and then you need to pursue it as a business. In our point of view, this is what entrepreneurship is, and this is the only thing that is going to make you pull through being an entrepreneur at the same time that you are going through university and a student, which is very demanding on its own. And at the same time, being an entrepreneur, it's going to have a lot of sacrifices. So if you don't have this motivation, this passion inside of you, you're not going to be able, again, to pull through these long nights, losing money and sacrificing on your personal life as well. So that's the first takeaway, I will say. So I want to kind of open the mic to Andy to share a little bit his experience and what he has to say about what is important in your point of view as an entrepreneur. Perhaps you want to share something about your environment or what is it that it matters for you?
Yeah, I would say the one of the key pillars is the people that you surround yourself with and the people that essentially you're going to be working with to build this business. For us, it was very natural. We met each other and we had similar interests, and that just naturally happened. But I understand that if people right now are in university, for example, is probably the perfect place to try to meet people which are like-minded to you and have similar interests. Try to search for those groups of people. Try to start a little project, see how it goes with that person that has that similar interest and that wants to do something similar. I think that's a top tip that I would give, looking for that person or that group of people. And it's really cool to see, looking back, how being with all of those people and the interest that you had together build up to what could be in the future. So yeah, I would say that's very important. Make sure that you're very aware to not fall into the typical traps of you're at university, you want to party and just going into those groups of people and then wasting time into things that are actually meaningless. Of course, have a balance, but also look out for the people that can bring value in terms of entrepreneurship if you're into that. Yeah, so I would say also entrepreneurship for us, it was definitely a process. We didn't go full into starting a business and just working 14 hours every day. So it's something that will slowly come to you. And if you have that passion, as Manu said, you will be working on that and making it a main thing in your lifetime. But it's very important to keep balance, also to not just throw yourself into just doing that passion that you have, but also be able to keep a balance with exercise, with a routine, with having some free time to stop thinking about that objective that you have, because all of that will essentially also help you grow that passion and that business that you have. You're essentially taking care of yourself, which is the main machine building that business. I think Pablo has very good experience with that. He has created his own project where he talks a lot about these sort of topics. So maybe if you want to jump in and give some tips, because I think it's very important to take care of yourself, which is the main machine under the business or the project you have.
Yeah, I love that you talk about it, because taking care of yourself while not only when you are a student, but also when you are entrepreneur, even more, because you are your own boss and you are your business itself. So how can you take care of yourself? Sleep minimum 7-8 hours a day. Yeah, it's difficult when you go partying every weekend, but you must do it if you want to give the best of yourself. Then definitely exercising makes you stronger, gives you the energy, gives you the power you want to put on your business. Then what else? Eating healthy, eating like not so much processed food, real food. It's the best option. And yeah, I think that these are the pillars of having a good way to grow not only yourself but your entrepreneurship.
I would like to point out, like, just add on to this. Sometimes this comes from personal experience. I have a lot of work to do for Moods, for example. We need to pull out a new website. I had to put a lot of hours into that to make sure I met the deadline. And I was eating very bad. I was eating very fast food, things that I didn't want to cook, because in my mind it was like, okay, if I don't cook, if I don't spend that hour or half an hour cooking, I have more time to build a website. But actually that sometimes is like that kind of, you can do that sometimes, but it is unsustainable in the way that if you keep doing that, you're essentially taking out time out of your business, but putting into yourself to then perform better in your business. So I think that's the key way of putting things when talking about the balance between working for your business and also taking care of yourself.
Yeah,
it's very important.
You know, when you are
when
you're trying to solve a short-term problem, you use a short-term solution that could create a long-term problem. You know, when you skip 1 hour of sleeping, not only one day, but for a long time, you are getting so fatigued and you can't perform well in your business, in your entrepreneurship, in your studies.
That's a pretty good point.
If I can add in, I think a very important factor is to actually have those basics, those pillars, Pablo, that you talked about, to have that set up well before you start. So to have a good sleep schedule, to eat healthy, to exercise, have all of that set up well so that you're comfortable that that works for you before you get into entrepreneurship or before you start any big project. Because once you're in there, you might not have the time to modify things. It might not be so easy to experiment. Well, what works for me? Is it 7 hours of sleep? Is it 8? Does this food work better for me or this? So you really gotta have some sort of basis and really set that up, because it's really important that you have that more or less set in stone to then get you where you want and actually be able to focus 100% on your project, on being an entrepreneur, anything like that. Because if not, then you're just wasting time on the rest.
Yes. Yeah, what I understand actually from this conversation is that essentially you need a good base at university to be an entrepreneur, and you have this amazing opportunity. I think most people, when they join university, they start from scratch. It's like a new group of friends. It's a new lifestyle completely. Maybe they leave home for the first time. So I think the message that we're trying to share here is make sure that you get your circle and your environment right. This is like very important while you're a student. And on top of this, you will want to add entrepreneurship and all of that, which is going to be very demanding. but you need to make sure that you take this opportunity to build a basis, be healthy, be surrounded by good people, because also the people that you meet at university may be the people that you start a business with. So, it's a first tip, again, from our experience, that at university you want to have this right environment. It's like crucial to push you through the next few years that you will want to pursue your business project. So I think also something very, very important as an entrepreneur is time management. I think it's like a super cliched topic, because it's like the key these days, right? Like everyone tries to do so much at the same time, and time management is like so important. So maybe we can touch a little bit now about like routine and like what discipline do we follow. Also, like something very cliche or like a very popular topic is early mornings versus like late nights. How do you manage your time? So I wanted to ask actually Chris to share his experience. Since, well, I know that his routine is a little crazy. I mean, he also studies medicine, which is very demanding. So maybe you can give your insights or share your experience about time management, being a student and an entrepreneur.
Sure, of course. First of all, I want to say I find it very funny that you asked me this question, because I know that with our history of friendship, I know that we're very different in our time management. And I think that's probably it really shows how different the routines of everyone are, and how everyone just does what works for them best. And for a long time, I couldn't understand why you're doing things your way, whereas I do them completely different. But yeah, I'm happy to share how I usually set up my day. Obviously, every day is different, but in general, I do try to get up early, get those early hours out of the day, because I just know that that's when my brain works best. It's not like I get at 4 or 5 a.m. That's not the case. Let's not exaggerate here. But I do definitely try to get as much work done, especially work that requires my concentration early in the morning. But then I also have classes, and most of my lectures, hospital classes, most of that is mandatory. So I do have to go to that. And I just try to build, my work schedule around that. So I usually try to get some work done before, some work afterwards. And I usually just plan my day out very well. I plan my week out. If I see that I have a week that's very busy, I try to get work done on the weekend before. See what needs to be done that week, so I get it out of the way. If I have exams, same thing. If needed, we're a very supportive team, which I'm very grateful for. We kind of support each other. If someone has a tough week, then another one maybe takes a bit of the work. But so in that sense, you need to plan ahead. You need to know what you have coming in that week, in the next days, so you can organize your time right. That's the first thing. Then there's certain things in the business that need to be done early, or that need to be done at certain times. So on social media, you need to post at certain times. Andy and Paulo, you know more about that. But for me, for example, the communication with the warehouse needs to happen at a certain time of the day, which is in the early morning before orders get sent out. So I usually, first thing when I wake up is I go through my emails and I check, did we receive any email from a customer, especially from the US maybe, because they were awake, overnight, who wants to cancel their order or change their order, so that I can then tell the warehouse to do that change before they send the order out. Because if I don't do that first thing in the morning, it's too late. So those things are very important, to kind of prioritize tasks at the time when they need to be prioritized. And then, I also have a social life. I'm not just,
do you?
I do. I have a lot of classes. I have a lot of time that I spend in the hospital. I have a lot of time that I spend at home in front of my computer. But whenever I can, and it's just really every hour I have to do sports, I use it. Every hour I have to do, something with my family, with my friends, I use it. If I have a day off, I love to go to the mountains, to do some hiking. I love to sometimes take a break, go to a different city, explore, all of these things. But it's just, you can only do that if you organize your time well. So,
yeah. No, it's pretty nice that you say that. It also relates back to what we said of being active and stay healthy, try to find this balance. But definitely organization, this time management is key as an entrepreneur and being a student. Also, if you're like a young professional, essentially when you have like many things to do, you just want to time manage whatever it is, right? I do remember, like, I want to share a little bit like the experience, because some people may be thinking, yeah, right, like I try to time manage, but like I cannot wake up early. Uh, Things like that, like I can really relate. I remember, so I graduated already. I'm not a student anymore. I'm a young professional. But I remember while I was at uni, this was like my thing. Like I couldn't wake up early. I just really hate it. So I found myself like working late at night most of the time, as well as Andy. Like we were doing
Yeah.
these calls, and then Chris was in bed, like since like 9, 10 p.m. whatever. So it just kind of goes back to find what works for you. A lot of people will say, no, you need to get up at like 7 and work and things like that. It's not quite the case. It just kind of depends on how you work and your preference. But regardless, you wake up at like 12 and you go to bed at 3 or whatever you do. Regardless, you need that planning and you need to be on top of your things, as well as have this basis of being healthy and have some sort of like social life, of course. And to be honest, like now for me, it's a little bit different. I'm not a student anymore, so I do have like to follow a strict schedule, because at the same time that I work on our businesses, I'm also a young professional, as I said. I work in London in finance, and I have like a very like a strict schedule. So I do have to wake up now early, and then I get home, and then I'm working. So like my schedule is really fixed. And to be honest, like this looks pretty different as to when you are a student, because also when you're a student, your classes are kind of like different times, plans come
Yeah.
out from like friends. It's very different, which can even make it harder, to be honest. Being a student and time managed can be harder than being a young professional and time managed, which it sounds kind of crazy.
It sounds weird, but for this is my case. Like I feel that where for me the way it works better is like if you have a uniform routine throughout a week where I know what's going to be happening at every certain moment of the day. Currently, I'm finishing university, so I'm in my last year, very intense. There's a lot of assignments and courseworks which have deadlines at different points of the day and different hours, and I have classes. So my days look completely different one from another, and it's something I'm struggling. It throws me off a lot, and what I do essentially is I go into my calendar. It's very simple. I go into my calendar at the end of every week. I see what classes I have, put those in, and then put all the other tasks around those hours and try to follow it as much as possible. Even though it's not my preference right now, I need to adapt and do that so that I can keep up with things. And just another remark: most of the time, the things that you like, the time that you expect something to be done in is usually much longer. So I would also always put a buffer between those tasks and the other things that you need to do in life, because it will always take at least twice as long.
That's very true. To be fair, like being a student and entrepreneur can be really hard for like time management, because as you say, you don't even know when your classes are gonna be and all of that. Honestly, like now that I get off like 6 from work, at like 7 I'm like working until like bedtime. It can help a lot. So yeah, I mean it can be really hard, to be honest. Also, something that I found very useful that we just adopted, that was a mistake, was setting some sort of like fixed schedules kind of in your routine as a student. Can be really helpful, because again, when your schedule changes so much, it can be really easy for you to skip certain like important like activities that you need to do for your business, for example calls with your team and things like that. Because at university there's always something going on, right? Like you want to, I don't know, like someone wants to go for a pint or whatever, like there's just always something. If you actually adopt this like accountability method of like, at this time this day I'm doing this, and like sitting down and working, or I'm having this call and doing these emails, these reports, it can be really useful from our experience. So yeah, does anyone want to share anything else about like time management and things
I would
that?
like to share this thing that we should have implemented earlier on, and that has been very productive. We call it the DCUs, which is daily catch up, which essentially it's just getting in a call for 30 minutes. We try to keep it at that, but usually longer, and then just talking about the project, the work that we've done, what we need to be working on, and if we need any help. And it sounds not too important at first, but it has helped us so much in terms of moving forward and productivity, having those calls pretty much every day. Now we do it every 2 days, which has been one of the key things that we have implemented and has helped us a lot to move forward and keep track of everything. So yeah, I think that's a very cool thing that we've learned. Maybe you can implement it. We call it the DCUs. I think it's cool. So
Yeah. No, definitely the best thing that we have recently implemented in our workflow. As a student, again, like for 4 years, we were not doing this. We were just, I don't know, we were just like calling.
I don't know how we were doing it without.
I don't know how we manage. I don't know how we manage. But yeah, I mean, also like Pablo can also like maybe share something about this time management, because maybe you can give your background. You can explain it yourself. But like right now, you're essentially working all by yourself, like working on your project. You're not a student anymore, and you are just trying to like plan out your day, and you are your own boss in your schedule and everything. And that can also be challenging. We've talked about how being a student and working can be, as an entrepreneur, can be really challenging. How it is very different but challenging as well as a young professional. What about alone, when you have the power of planning your day?
Yeah, for telling a bit about me, I'm working for myself on this online project that I'm doing right now, focusing on sports, on giving value through social media, about how you can become healthier, how can you perform better with your movement, and yeah, how you can move better and more to keep your healthy at the top. So at the time when you are your own boss, you have 3 ways, okay? Taking responsibility to the fullest, being really disorganized, not having accountability at all, or finding a balance. I think this midpoint is the best, because you enjoy life and you make progress with your project. So my tip here is that you should have times when you are really focused on moving forward, on working hard and a lot, but you also have to bear in mind that you have a life, and you need to enjoy life. You need to take a moment to breathe, and that's gonna help you move forward in your project too. So yeah, that's my tip in this case.
That is pretty good. Thanks for that. I also want to now kind of touch a little bit on, let's say, a juicy topic, something a little bit controversial, something that we don't necessarily like to hear all the time, which is about the sacrifices that we need to make as a student entrepreneur. So if you are a student and want to be an entrepreneur, or you are an entrepreneur, you need to know the concept of opportunity cost. So opportunity cost essentially is defined as the value of what you lose when choosing between 2 options. Essentially explains that every choice has trade-offs. This means that every time that, as a student after class, you go and you hit Netflix, you are essentially doing a trade-off between entertaining yourself or working on yourself and your business and bettering your future, essentially. This happens every time, every decision that we make. It doesn't even have to be related to work. So I think this is very important, because when you're a student, there are so many distractions all the time. There are always like people wanting to like go out and like do plans. Like there's always an event going on, which is good. Like you should enjoy yourself. At university is one of the best like stages of your life, I suppose. You should enjoy it, but you need to be very aware of this. Something that I like to think about is that, for example, it's like the value of your actions and the value of your time working. You need to think about this. Every time that a friend tells you, let's go for a pint at university, it's not going to cost you £5, that pint. That pint is going to cost you £5 plus what you left behind, the money that you left behind the table because you didn't work on yourself and your business for that hour. So you tell me what it is. Maybe it's like £500, 1,000, 10,000 compounding in the future. You never know. But I think that this concept is very interesting to include to the concept of opportunity cost. You need to keep every decision in check. As an entrepreneur, you need to make a lot of sacrifices and you need to rethink your decisions and get your priorities straight. I think this is like really important.
Yeah, I think it's important to have it in mind. The value that you like you might think, yeah, 10,000. Yeah, I'm definitely not worth £10,000 that hour that I'm not working. But that's not true. Actually, the reality of things and what you mentioned, the idea of compounding over time, it could be that or even more. So at first, if you don't think about it, if no one tells you going for that beer is just £5 and an hour that I didn't work. But if now that we have inserted that idea and giving you that tip, it is very important that you keep it in mind, always present, because it is the reality of things. Like when you go and spend that hour outside, it's going to be costing you something like that, depending on your project and your future and how you work. But it's very important to keep it present always, and it will help you to take the right decisions, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also think it's like, just think about it. If you were to invest that hour that you spend at the pub in brainstorming with your colleagues, let's say if instead of me going out, I would have a call with you guys, with Andy, Manu, Pablo, the ideas we could have in that time or the advances we could come to in that time could be so much more important than anything else. You know, like you never know what ideas you might have in that hour. You never know what you could come up with. So it's just be clear of that, be aware of your potential, and then just kind of value yourself, value your time, and respect that. I think that's critical.
Absolutely. It's so important to like value your time and understand how much your work is worth. Like now I see it a lot. What Chris said is like crucial. Every time, every like Friday night that I'm not going out, I'm spending those hours like working. Every like half an hour that I'm working, I'm sitting here working, brainstorming and thinking, something amazing happens. And it's like, we're just making so much progress now that like that half an hour has so much value. I can't just say, and it really hurts, but I can't say yes to every plan that a friend proposes. I can't go for dinner all the time. Like I can't go for that pint. I'm not gonna watch Netflix because it's that those 30 minutes I'm watching Netflix could have meant the idea of, I don't know, like bettering the business, like coming up with a new Kindle concept idea, a new initiative. And this is like so important. I think like a university, as I said, like you'll have a lot of distractions and it will be hard to get in this mindset. And I can only say this now from experience also. And also when you get some experience as an entrepreneur, it will be easier to see how much your time is worth. When you start as an entrepreneur, every hour it seems like it leads to nothing. Yeah, I work like 5 hours today. I'm not rich tomorrow. I haven't made any money. But again, like good things take time. It's the compounded what really gives the worth and accumulates this wealth of results and everything. So yeah, that was a big take.
Yeah, I would just add that this has the opposite side of this is that you're choosing to work for yourself. So this has implications for your surroundings and the relationships that you have with others. I think this is the topic that we want to enter now, in terms of me choosing not to go with my friend to that bar for that pint that's £5 and working for myself. That also has a consequence of me worsening the relationship with that friend or not having that experience that I could have had with that friend that night. And this links very well with what we were talking at the beginning with the sacrifices. So you need to be very aware of all of the decision, like what that decision involves in terms of for yourself, for your business, but also for your surroundings.
Although when it comes to that, I have a very interesting anecdote or something I would like to share. I'll make it quick.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
actually, when I used to live with Pablo, we shared this mindset of not going out that much, because not only are you destroyed, or not only do you lose Friday night, like Manu said, but you also lose Saturday morning, or let's face it, we're getting older. It's probably the whole day Saturday.
Hungover last 2 days now.
Exactly. It's not getting any better at this point. So you lose that day. And Pablo and me would always talk about that, and we would rarely go out, or we'd have fun, you know, but we would rarely go out and stay for long. But then on Saturday, we would be there in the morning at 8 a.m. in our living room, working together, having a coffee, having discussions, going for a walk, exercising, those kind of things. So what I want to say with this is that while you lose one opportunity, like going out with your friends and partying until the sun comes up again, you gain another one, which is enjoying the next day or enjoying the morning, using the morning. And maybe if you have a supportive environment, like we talked about earlier, like I had with Pablo when we lived together, you enjoy those connections. So every time a door closes, another one opens. Well, that's all I want to say with this. And if you think about life in that way, there's nothing you miss out on. You just make new opportunities.
Yeah. And to
That's
summarize
very
it
true.
is when you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to other thing. So you have to be aware of what that involves. What is more important for you, what you want to prioritize in that moment of your life, and keeping in mind where you want to be in a future, and if your habits, if your actions are making you to get there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's so true. The thing is, like, when you say yes to an action, you say no to another one. The example that Chris gave as, oh, I go out and I get like completely wasted. That compared to I went and the exercise in the morning. I feel great. I had these amazing discussions. It's very easy to see. I think for most people, they would prefer like the second one. It's like, yeah, I'm bettering myself, all of that. And that's, a lot of people will still have a hard time making this decision. But this is way easier to see as the clear choice than when your sacrifices involve, as Andy mentioned, worsening relationships with people that you care. So every time that you're sitting down and you're working on your own business, you are saying no to, supporting that friend, having a conversation with your family, keep investing in your romantic relationship if you have one. And these are like really, like, honestly, like hard, like conversations. So, yeah, no, it's a tough one. So I actually wanted to like share. I wanted for us to share like our point of view in this, sort of like how we see the sacrifices in relationships, that they don't necessarily have to be for romantic relationships, but they can also be like with friends or family. In your experience, how has it been as an entrepreneur, working so much and giving up on all of these opportunities to connect with the people that you care about? So maybe I don't know. Maybe Pablo, you want to start since you're laughing so much.
I don't know why I am laughing right now. I saw the Chris face and I started laughing.
That makes you laugh? Come on.
No, yeah, it's because you talk about romantic relationships. Yeah, you know that it has been a difficult time for some of us on that field. But yeah, I'm now using my Light Up for Sex candle and things are getting better. So yeah, what was the point? What were we talking about?
I think it will be cool if one of us shares his experience on the sacrifices in relationships. It can be anything. You can share anything about, what it means for you, the sacrifices with friends, family, or like romantic relationships. It doesn't matter.
Or even when with yourself. Like when you are...
That's a weird one.
No. I mean, when you are working too much for your project, maybe you are not working on your emotions, on your feelings. So you can feel really stressed and really bad. But and this is important, like to take time for yourself too, not only for others or for your project. But yeah, if I had to talk about how entrepreneurship has affected my relationships, for example, with my ex-girlfriend, I found difficult to balance like the times for myself, the times for the project, and also having time to share with her. Um, I can give like a tip, and it is to have a schedule of that, because if you don't have one, it's it's really easy to start like focusing on the things that you want in that moment, that are harmful for your relationship. So yeah, and a schedule is important. What do you think,
Yeah,
guys?
Yeah,
I guess that will work. Yeah, no, no, no. That sounds
I
like a
agree.
good workaround in relationships. Have that schedule. I think like also in my experience with the sacrifices in romantic relationships as an entrepreneur, is that you need to get your priorities straight. You need to really figure out what matters for you. If what matters the most for you is following your dreams, being an entrepreneur, following that passion, then you need to commit. You need to commit. What matters the most? Is it uni? Is it your girlfriend? Is it your business? In my case, it's always been my business. It's always been my passion, my projects, my dreams. And in my experience, some people don't really take very well that you are not uh, the priority essentially, and that can have kind of like yeah, that can be hard in a relationship, right? Um,
No,
and again,
I
like
w-
it just comes down to personal experiences. But yeah, personally, like I for me, it's always been a priority, and that can be hard, to share a project with like your girlfriend or your
yeah.
partner if they know that they are not the priority for you. So yeah.
Yeah, so realistically speaking, the priority is not always just one. There's multiple priorities in your life.
Well, I will
I would
actually,
say
yes, there could be
not
more
not
than one,
many,
I
but
reckon.
you could have one, two, or three priorities in life. I would say for
Yeah,
I would
fair
myself
agree
enough.
when
with that. I
talking,
would agree with that.
I don't just have one priority. I have a couple, and that means those are my family, my girlfriend, and my business, and I cannot leave one behind. So sometimes this is something that I was not expecting when starting a business. So when we started, yeah, you have an idea of what it could be. I know that I'm gonna be working long hours, late nights, and all of that, but I never expected the fact of like, oh shit, now I need to manage my work, but I also need to manage my time with my partner very well, because it's very easy to put one on top of each other, and that's super damaging for both in both ways. You can put your business on top of your partner, and then the relationship can be damaged very badly, or it could be the other way too. So it's super important, and this is something that I'm learning because I do have a girlfriend, and the good thing and the what I'm super happy about is that we both have very similar interests. My girlfriend also has a small business that she's running, so we emphasize very well on that. We spend a lot of times working in parallel for our own objectives, and that has led like sometimes I think about it, and it's we just spend this weekend like working, and we haven't actually spent time together. Like it's sometimes very hard to realize that. So this is something I'm learning. We're becoming very aware and having a schedule and saying, okay, now I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna have time with you. And what my tip, like an extra tip that I would do is like when you have that time with that person and you're putting that allocating that time to that person, make it the best that it could be, the same way that you are putting your time to for your business in that way that it's also super optimized. Don't be like, okay, now I'm gonna be with my partner, we're just gonna watch a movie or whatever, and it's not, you don't put the same effort for one thing to
Yeah.
the other one. So I would say like that's an important thing. Like put that same effort that you're putting for other priorities to show that you really care and that it's not just,
Really good point.
superficial
Yeah.
thing.
I very much agree with that. I can also, I mean, relate to that and add on to that, because I mean, with my girlfriend, it's the same, and it's just, it has been like that just now a couple of weeks ago. So I'm in a distance relationship, and now, like a week ago, when I saw my girlfriend, I was in that situation. I still had work, but I also, for the first time in a long time again, I saw my girlfriend. So I wanted to use that time well. And you just gotta, like you said, Andy, like really put the same effort in and really take the time, value that time, spend it with that person, and yeah, just use it as best as you can when you have it. So yeah, I was really grateful to have that time, and during that time, then I had to cut down on my other priority on the business, for example, which is difficult, but you have to do those trade-offs. And it's very tough. I need to say that I'm grateful that my girlfriend is pretty understanding with that. She keeps joking that it's like we're in a relationship of three. It's like herself, me, and the business. But yeah, it's like it's not only a joke. It's kind of true, because yeah, there's a lot of times when I need to choose the business or the time with, like, spending on the business over the time I have with her. And there's other times when I purposefully choose not to focus on work, but spend the time with her. So it is very difficult. You need to find someone who understands that, who kind of gets why you do that, and gives you that space in a way. And then you also gotta give back, to that person. You gotta really put some effort in. I think that's important.
Put the same amount of effort that you do on your other passion to that partner, because you need to prove them that, like, you also want to be with them, like you're doing the same for both the business, but also the partner.
Yeah. No, to be fair, like just by listening to you guys, like I am learning, because like it's also like an area that I want to work on. Like I want to do better in this area, because as I said, like for me, it's always been a priority to do my business and like again, like follow my dreams. But this can be like really problematic and can also lead to an unstable lifestyle, which is what you really don't want. And so yeah, honestly, like I like that we're having this conversation. If it is on a podcast, it could be like behind closed doors. But I really like the point of Andy. Like, invest yourself, put the same amount of effort that you put in your business in the relationship. I guess like it just sometimes comes down to like it's really hard, no? Like sometimes you're if working on your business, you're also working for other people that count on you, and there are some tasks that you need to do, and maybe you just don't have time for that dinner. As Andy said, like it really helps if your partner is understanding or is on the same boat. I think that's like actually amazing. But imagine if your partner didn't understand the concept of entrepreneurship. Like personally, I have felt this way, and I think that can be like really challenging. So yeah, and again, like this goes like beyond like romantic relationships, also with friends. Like I am right now experiencing this. I am super grateful to have very supportive friends, but I do see that for some people it's not so easy to understand that no, I don't want to go out on Wednesday for a beer. Like I have a call. I'm doing the call. Like no, I'm not going out on a Friday. I want to create this new email for my email list.
The thing is that most of the time that's multiple time. It's not just one Wednesday that you go have a beer. It's like multiple. That has also happened to me. Many friends that have I have left behind because of that, because I didn't find time to see them and be with them and be friends, I have time to be friends with them.
But the thing is, like the people that matter to you, to your lifestyle, to your aspirations, are the people that will stay, that will understand. Yeah, honestly, like this also relates to another concept, which is, for example, the concept of like not drinking or like not going out. Like you will see, like after university, if you don't want to engage in that lifestyle anymore, a lot of people will fall out because you were not even like friends, you were just like drinking partners. It's like a concept that I've been thinking about lately. But definitely the people that care about you will understand your priorities, your lifestyle, what you want to follow as an entrepreneur, and we'll be there. But yeah, I don't know. You guys want to add anything else?
Yeah, I would like to say something because I mean, basically, all this relates back to what we mentioned in the very beginning, which is having a supportive, having an understanding environment.
Surround yourself with the right people. Definitely.
Exactly. Surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with someone who inspires you, someone who understands you, someone who's on the same wavelength. That's important because
my question to that would be, if you don't have time for doing those things, how do you get to those people? You know, like it's a bit of a full circle thing that how do you deal with that?
It is.
How do you make those meaningful relationships if you don't have time to go out there and meet those people and spend time with those people, because meaningful relationships don't happen in a click. You know what I mean?
Or maybe,
but it's also like it's kind of. I think one way you could see it is like in the gym, for example, the people who are actually passionate about going to the gym and are actually like really into it, they're the ones that you find there on a Friday evening or Saturday morning. You know, because they value going to the gym over going out to party, for example, you know. So in a similar way, it works with business. And you'll realize that there's some people that are doing a similar routine like you are. And eventually, if you, I don't know, live along with each other, at some point you'll ask that person about it and you might click, you know. You might find out that you have more in common than you thought.
Yeah. I think it's not black and white. It's a gray. It's like a bit of everything. It's the balance. Make sure you have your priorities straight, but keep in balance the fact that you do need to socialize. You do want to look for those people that can help you, that environment, and put time into that, even though it's not direct. The time is not going directly into your business or project. It's indirectly helping it because you're finding those people that will
and
support.
also nowadays, I think it's the perfect time to find people with the same interests as you, with the same convictions. Because social networks for me have been really useful to connect with people that for example, I posted something that I was studying about, I don't know, how to be better at some kind of stuff, and they told me, oh, I like that too, and we start talking. We connected, we start knowing more about ourselves, and now maybe that guy could be one of my best friends, not present in this place, but in the social media, and maybe in a future we can create something together. You don't know who you can find through the socials. So
yeah, definitely
technology
is something
and
that helps a lot.
Also, I think you start knowing people that you want to know when you start acting, when you become that person, when you are the example of the people you want to know, that that people will come.
It will attract people.
You will
like,
attract them.
That's the law of attraction. Yeah, when you work and you do what you want to become, you will attract similar
exactly
like-minded people.
Yeah, which I think is really cool. Eventually, if you stick to your priorities and try to socialize, again, find a balanced lifestyle, I think you will end up, obtaining like a really cool social circle which like shares the same interest. And again, like this is something that now I'm feeling like very close to me. Like, don't be sad for the friends that you leave behind, because you share like a connection at some point for a reason, and that's amazing. If at some point the relationship doesn't add mutual value, it's okay. Like, we can still like get along and things like that. We're just not as close as friends as we were. And I think this is like a very normal concept, but we usually have a hard time understanding. It's like, friends do come and go. Like, try to keep the people that really matter and add value to your life. And those that don't, unfortunately, well, they will find other people that add more value than you could to their lifestyle.
Completely. And it makes the relation with the cost opportunity cost concept. If you are saying yes to people that doesn't give value to you, and even you don't give value to them, it's time to know to meet another people and start giving value to both sides. And in that moment,
Yeah.
it's when magic happens and everything start going better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything.
Well,
Yeah, and
that
you look back and it
Yes,
makes
and
sense how
this is
everything
my
happened.
opportunity to tell you to the people who is listening to us or watching us. I don't know, maybe on TikTok, because this could become a clip or something. But if you don't have in your environment people that inspires you, people that have the same interests, convictions as you, you can reach us out and let us know that you want to become better and you want to have a better circle. Yeah, I think it could work.
Yeah,
no,
we
yeah,
could.
honest, yeah. Like I'm so excited to start like connecting with people through this platform, this network, through this brand, the
Mm,
right moods. Yeah, hopefully, like if you like what the ideas that we put out there, you know, or like goals and things like that, or brand, like reach out to us. We would love to
mm,
connect, honestly.
yes,
Connect with us and also within other
yeah,
people that are watching this. Like this could be also the opportunity to find
Yeah,
yeah.
other
This
like-minded
this
people.
could be a good approach with the brand, like making a community of people with the same interest, with the same passion, or um,
Connecting
like
people.
with willing to become better. This concept of 1% better every day that we are implementing right
Hmm.
now. I think many people has that mindset, and we can create something really cool and connect.
I think
I
if
think
we
it's very
keep like
important to have that.
I think if we keep working as we have been on the brand, like being super authentic and projecting our personalities and our beliefs and ideas into the brand, eventually we will build a
Mm,
community of people who are like-minded, who are just like us, and we just like kind of share this entertainment, these ideas in our platform through our brand or
mhm.
products. So yeah, we do have like a great opportunity to connect with a lot of people, which I think will
Yeah.
be amazing. I want to like move on a little bit from like the relationships. Is a topic that I do want to touch because I think it's controversial but like really important as well. Which is again going to this opportunity cost and the trade-offs and all of it. Um, is about the concept of like skipping classes, and this is something that I want to talk about because it relates back to your priorities. I think when you are a student, you've been told by society and especially your parents that you are there to study, especially when your parents are paying your university.
Yeah.
You need to show up to
Yeah.
every single class and you need to like excel and things like that. And don't get me wrong, university can be very important if it is the right thing for you. It can, you know, it can open a lot of doors in the future if you don't want to be an entrepreneur. But if you have this mindset, if you are following certain ideas and projects as an entrepreneur, eventually you will grow so much, your ideas and efforts will grow so much that you will have to make these trade-offs. And in these trade-offs, sometimes you will have to rethink your priorities. Do I want to go to this class, which is completely useless and not even the teacher understands what he's talking about? Or do I want to spend these 2 hours working on the next product drop, on preparing Black Friday, preparing whatever it is? Like there are also like tasks which are like time pressure and you need to make a decision. So personally, I haven't skipped a lot of class at uni because I was not there. I was not at the point where I had to. Like my workflow like worked out fine. But I do know that Andy has to skip a couple here and there.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
maybe you wanna like share like your point of view on this. What do you think?
Now, if my parents are watching this, this is gonna be bad for me. No, but it's fine. No, what I've once you start working on your own project and you see how valuable time is, you will also realize how university is so
Wow.
inefficient in so many ways. they spend so much time making you go to certain lessons, workshops that are so badly designed in terms of time efficiency that it will force you to skip classes if you do need it for your own project, which has happened to me. I've been able. Well, you will easily recognize with lessons are like, okay, I can learn this by myself within 10 minutes at a certain period of time by myself instead of having this teacher rumble about it for an hour. So I'm gonna take that hour, do something else, and then compensate. So it also involves taking responsibility of the university degree that you're doing. You need to make sure that you're doing the right things to pass. It's not about like just leaving everything behind and failing all the exams. That's going to be very negative. But it's about understanding where the efficiency is in terms of the lessons. Do I need to be in this lesson? Yes, no. If I don't need to be in this lesson, how am I going to compensate? And then use that other time to work on what you need to be doing for your own project, business, or whatever it is. So making it more efficient, essentially.
I can also agree a lot with that and add on to that, because I mean, in my university, and I think every student who's listening knows this, I mean, there's always professors who give very boring lessons or lectures, and then there's always these subjects that you're just really not interested in, or that you ask yourself, why is this even in my course? That doesn't have anything to do with what I want to do later. And all of us, we have that. I have that. Andy has it, like you just said. And I'm sure you have it too. The thing is just, like, really, for these subjects, just, value your time, focus on your project, and don't go to class. For me personally, I do have to go to class. All my classes are mandatory. So what I do is that I do go to that class. But if it's a boring class and it's early morning, which is, like I said, when I work best, then I sit in the last row. I partly listen to the class, but mostly I focus on what I want to do, and I sit there with my laptop and I work. And I just focus mainly on my work, and I get things done. So if you also have mandatory classes, just keep doing that, because...
Okay, show up, but work on your laptop, on your business.
You do a hybrid. You go to lessons, but you work on your business.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a compromise from both sides.
You need to be really, like... You need to have a good judgment, when you can do that. Obviously, I have a lot of class in the hospital. I'm with patients. That's a time when I'm never on my phone. That would be very disrespectful to anyone around.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you need to have a good judgment of when you do what, and also in which subject you can allow yourself that. But generally, I think it shows a certain maturity, or shows a certain level of, thinking, if you really think twice before you do something, if you really see what has a value for you and what doesn't. So,
Yeah. University is not the most important thing in your life unless you believe it is. Unless it really is for you. Like, no, because honestly, it's what I said earlier. Like, I think like when you enter university, it's just the priorities. Like, you are there to be a student and study. But again, like, things change. Maybe you're developing your project and it just becomes more important. You don't even want to work for a business. You want to be an entrepreneur. That's your pursuit, your goal in life. Yeah. Then you need to start like rethinking your priorities. And also when we say skip classes, it doesn't mean skip classes and watch Netflix. Always this situation of skipping classes is when you are really like time pressure and you need to make trade-offs. And going to the class will mean that I'm not going to be working on my business, or I'm going to be cutting on sleep, which you don't want to do. So yeah, I think that's an important point. If you guys don't have anything else to add to this,
I want to add one more.
Okay.
One
yeah,
more
go
thing.
ahead.
I think university is the perfect environment for you to start something. I've had lessons in business and entrepreneurship, like little courses, and I could see how a lot of people said that they wanted to start things, but right now it wasn't the right time because they had a lot to do with university and they would do it later, and that's the completely wrong thinking. University is the only time in your life that you're mature enough to start your own project. You don't have any responsibilities essentially, because most of the time everything's paid by your parents, and you have a lot of free time because essentially you can manage your time with uni. So it is the time
and
to start doing something. University is it's the perfect like mix of situations for you to do your own project. So be very aware of that. Even though you're filled up with work from university, you will never have as much time as you do when you're doing university, because you have
Honestly,
the freedom of doing that.
that's such a good tip. Like, it's honestly, I agree 100%. Like now, for example, I'm a young professional, if you like. I'm not a student anymore. I'm working for a company, and I see my colleagues. I see other students from university that are now working in companies, and I see how hard it will be to start something from scratch now. Imagine like 5 or 10 years when you have way more responsibilities. You now have to be paying the bills for the house that you bought, whatever, or you have like a wife and kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, things only get harder. If you're a student and you're watching this, you need to understand that university is the best time to start that business. And you are so supported by the environment. I'm sure your university supports you starting a business. Honestly, there will be so many resources available, and the people around will share similar ideas. Honestly, it's the best time, and it's gonna put you in a position, if you do it well, that when you leave university, you will already have that business. You will, even if you're working for another company, as I'm doing, things are already working out with my business. Things are going well, and that's because I work during university. Starting now will be a fucking nightmare. So put in the work if you're at university. Is literally the best time.
Yeah. We started in high school, so high school is also like high school, university.
High school is
As
also
soon
the
as
best time.
possible,
But
the
the thing with high school,
Yeah.
the sooner the better. But the thing with high school is that I believe a lot of people haven't met the right people to start a business with
that is
yet. And that happens mostly at university. Because also the people really matter, right? Like, in most cases, you need a team to create a good business, thriving business. These connections tend to happen at university. For us, it happened at high school. We were really fortunate, and then we did everything remotely. But you have a golden opportunity to connect with people in your university to create a business, start working on those ideas. It's the best time.
Yeah, actually, I want to take a minute to appreciate that. I want to say that anecdote from our lives for how it was. I'm that kind of anecdote guy, I guess, in this podcast. 'Cause, yeah, we were in high school when we started, and looking back, it was the best decision, because there's no other time where we could have done this. Because essentially, you work for a year, 2 years, 3 years, long hours, without stopping. You need to keep going no matter what. You don't get paid. So this is the best time when you don't have financial obligations, when you have way more time at your hands than you would working at any later point in life. When you don't have a family to support, you barely have any responsibilities, you have a lot of energy left. That is the time to start. So right now, when you're in university and you're like, okay, I can't do this, I have exams, I have classes, my friends, I'm in a sports team, all of this, believe me, when you're in this situation and you think you don't have time, you still have way more time than you're ever going to have a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later. So the sooner you start, the better. And this is really something I realized, because now I'm getting close to finishing my studies. I started working in hospitals. I did so in summer, and I realized that working in a hospital as a doctor, or also like working like Manu in London in the company he's working in, working long hours tires you out, and
sucks your life in.
Place where you can start a business. That's no place where you have free headspace to be innovative, and it's just physically impossible.
I mean, I wouldn't disencourage anyone like that's in that situation. It will just take 3 times the effort that it would take you if you're in university. It will take so much more, which is why it's more rare that happens.
Yeah. Also, relating it back to our story, obviously now we're talking this podcast for the right moves, the Kindle business. As we said, we've had another business. We're still ongoing, which we started like in high school 5 years ago. The key for us was, as you said, Chris, that we were in high school. We had nothing better to do. Our time was worth 0 at that time. It's either that or you're just like going out with friends. And the thing is, like, we were friends. So for us, working was just a hobby. It was just having fun. It was just like sharing ideas. And it continued to be a university for another 1 to 2 years. And when people ask me what's being the secret to success, and it's not saying that we have made it or anything like that, but what has worked out for us is that we have never cared about the money. We never cared in the first 2 years that it was not about that. It was about our ideas, about growing, working together, and staying as friends. That was kind of also like a key component and reason why we wanted to do entrepreneurship between us. And I can see how this will be completely different if you were starting a business when you are 23, 25 years old and you have another job or something like that. Now your time, you start to think about things differently. Now you care about money. Now you see that you've been working for a year in a project and you've made zero money, you will just throw it to the bin. This project was not worth it. I wasted my time. For us, the point of view was different, and that's what made it happen. And at the same time, because I said this, I want to relate it to the fact that most businesses thrive because of persistence, because you kept going. You had an idea, which was decent, and you put in the work. 1 day, a month, a year, another year, and eventually things work. And honestly, we haven't been in business for so long, and we haven't achieved tremendous success, but this is something that I'm also learning now. I'm listening to a lot of entrepreneurs who have been tremendously successful, and they all say the same thing. You just need to keep going. Essentially, the best results in life come out of this compounded interest, this compounded rewards and wealth that you build. So honestly, keep going. Start as soon as you can. It will all work out.
If you always keep going, you will never fail because you just keep going. So you never fail. Like that's the idea.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Even though if you don't make it.
Even a failure could turn into your greatest success, because, I mean, let's not get too philosophical here, but every time you fail, you learn something, and that thing helps you in the future. That thing builds you up, you know, that thing gives you strength. You got to embrace it, and it helps you to move on. So if you just keep going and don't let anything destroy your passion, don't let anything destroy your love for what you're doing, then, yeah.
I don't want to.
Wow.
I don't want to be too philosophical too, but Manu, what do you think? Like, what's the meaning of life?
What's the meaning of life? I usually think more about the universe, and then I find the answer for the meaning of life.
Oh, really? You found it?
What is
I'm working on it. It's work in progress.
You said you found
I think it has something to do with like. It's like when I think of the universe and the meaning of life, I think of it as a concept, and it's just wide. It's like it's a concept. Like nothing can. I think when I had this idea, I was high. Anyways, cut this. But,
no, I will not cut.
No, it's staying in.
No. I was tipsy. That's what I meant. I was tipsy. I think the meaning of life is a concept.
I think the meaning of life is not questioning.
It's meaning if you give it
questions, because it's a waste of time for me. Like, what's gonna happen after dying? No, that's not important right now. Focus on the present, no? Like,
yeah. No, the universe and life is fucking crazy. So just focus on following your dreams.
Should we get back to the podcast we're recording?
Yes.
I just want to say I want to say that we are the universe experiencing itself. Think about that.
You know what? I have a podcast. I have a poster about that. I'm looking at it right now, which is just like pictures of the universe saying you are the universe experiencing yourself.
Yeah, because we are basically part of the universe, which have gotten consciousness, which is crazy.
Which is insane. Which also, like, honestly, actually relates back to what we're talking about, being a student and an entrepreneur, because you have one life, which is fucking precious. It's amazing. You need to appreciate how crazy it is that you have this consciousness. You need to follow your fucking dreams, whatever it is. Maybe you're not interested about entrepreneurship, then fine. Work at another company, do whatever you want to do. But if entrepreneurship is what you like, man, you need to pursue that. Like, that's life. You have one shot. Give it your best. Well, actually, guys, this podcast has been very philosophical and very touching in many ways. I do want to wrap it up. Before
Yeah.
I'll ask for one tip from each one of you, and then we'll wrap it up.
A tip for
So
what?
who first? A tip on being a student and an entrepreneur. What is the headline? What is the tip that
Skip
you
your
will give
classes.
someone? And I'm gonna make it hard.
No.
Okay. I'm gonna make it hard. It's not gonna be now is the best time to start your business because we've talked for like 10 minutes on this. So I'm gonna pick on Andy because he seems completely
Wait.
clueless.
No, wait. I don't have
Okay,
anything right now.
while you are
Okay,
thinking
Chris.
about it, no.
Okay, Pablo.
While you are thinking about it, start thinking. I'll tell you to the
I need to charge
listener
my laptop. Wait.
something. If you got to this point and you are the first on writing us on the comments, what's the meaning of life? You'll get a candle for free. Okay? If you are right.
Hold
Okay.
another candle for free? Hold
If you're right
Sounds good.
on writing
I
that,
like-
you'll get a candle for free. So, Andy,
Yeah. What is the meaning of life? And you'll get it. Andy, have you thought of any tip to give?
Like all of the tips that are coming up to my mind is things that we've talked about in this podcast. So if I had to pick one, it would be very mindful of the value of your decisions. That would be my tip.
Okay.
Be very, very
Okay.
like always keep it in mind how much that
Okay, something-
decision is worth.
Okay.
Of
Something came
choosing
to mind.
between
I'll give
one
my tip already, which we haven't really touched on it, but it is take care of your team. I think that's a good good tip. If you are starting a business with more people, that your team is gonna become essentially your family. You need them to thrive in business. If you're an entrepreneur,
What
you
if
need
you're
to
alone?
be conscious of this. If you're alone, take care of yourself.
yeah.
That's your
Nice.
team.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Chris, what do you think?
Sure. This is something we touched on as well, but I think it's so important. I'm just going to say it again. Be as efficient as you possibly can be. Plan your time, be aware of your time, and just have a schedule. And then you'll be surprised how much time you can actually have if you use it well.
All right, Pablo,
I
you
will
want to share
share
your tip?
3 short tips. To
No,
No,
it has
I
be
want to
one.
summarize this podcast.
You could have
No.
shared the tips with us
But-
because we didn't
What
have
the
anything.
fuck?
Bro, you've been fucking
The
holding
first
them.
one is level up your skills. That's like be better on some kind of a skill, communication, videography. I don't know, level up them. You'll learn more from that kind of skills than from some classes in university. You'll make the differentiation from the rest of the people who is studying the same of you. And the second one, learn to say no to the things you don't want, you don't really want, and keep the mind on your goals, prioritize the habits that will make you get there. And the third one is don't be too philosophical on the podcast, because we get to the point that we have to give for free a candle to you.
Nice. Well, guys, I think it's been a nice podcast. Once again, we're just here sharing our journey in entrepreneurship or life, sharing
Nothing that we say is
life
comes from
advice.
we haven't made it yet, so we're talking from our personal experience. Like, we don't want to lecture you, but it's like what we think and what we believe from what we've
Things that we learn
Yeah.
from other people who has reached that point, that goal. And maybe on the next
Yeah,
podcast,
definitely.
we can talk about people who inspires us, no? Or books. I think that's a good topic. What do you think?
We're good, yeah.
Let us know
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, we
if you
could do
want
that.
something like that.
Well, guys, yeah, as I said, I think it's been a great podcast. I actually really enjoy it. So we'll wrap it up here. I hope to the listener, I hope to have you for the next podcast as well. And let's see. All right, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
No, have a good day.
Check our
Ciao,
social
ciao.
media.
Bye. You guys.
Hey, bye.
Yeah, the right moods, therightmoods.com. That's it. We sell candles.
Bye.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
We sell candy.
Bye.